Hello everybody, hello, and welcome. We are back to learning to draw, practicing our drawing rather than learning. So I hope yesterday, unfortunately, events of the day took over and I actually didn't get a drawing done, but I hope that you used that time. I sound like a teacher. I hope that you use that time to practice the ones that we'd already done. So as you're getting the feel of the pencil in your hand and it moving over the paper and that sort of thing. Right, today, up until now, we've done free form things. You know, flowers, and it doesn't matter if one petal's slightly larger than another because that's the way it is in nature. But today, we're going to draw something that's man-made. And it is symmetrical. So we have to give that some thought. So what I've done is I've drawn myself a grid out. It's an inch grid. I just use my quilting ruler and drew inches, but you know, if you've got a Tim Holtz ruler, that's great. That's got inches on too. Just measure your inches so you've got a grid. I must say, by the time I'd finished mine, it wasn't exactly accurate, but I think it'll be near enough. So what are we going to draw today? Well, I thought we could draw a vase because we've been drawing flowers, and I thought if we drew a vase, then eventually we could join the flowers and the vase together and we'd have a really nice composition. But that's not today. Today we're just learning how to draw a vase. Right, I've got this. It's a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera, a cup, a bottle, anything you've got that's round will do. I particularly like this one because it's got a hole in the middle. So that means that I can line that up over the centre of, an intersection of the grid, which is what I'm going to do here. So I've lined that up in the centre, but excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. It's most annoying. But if you're using something circular, just make sure that you've got a similar gap there, similar gap here, so it's fairly central on your grid. So I'm going to draw around that with my pencil. Now my grid, I've put it in really heavily so as you can see it. I would advise that you don't put it in that strongly. We're only going to be erasing it afterwards, so just so you can see it really. Right. Mr. F's just got me some rum and coke. So let's just have a drink of that and see if it makes the frog go away. Hopefully that'll drown him or make him drunk. Right, so there's our circle. That's going to be the main body of our vase. Okay, so we want to draw the foot on the vase, the thing for it to stand on. So I'm going to go halfway up this block here, which is about there. And you can measure the same on the other side. You can measure it if you want to, if you're more confident measuring. So that's half an inch, actually. I'm coming up there. So I'm going to measure my ½ inch here, which is there, down to there. Okay, so that's our 2 marks. And then I want to come in and have it standing about there. I would say there. So I'm going to come up ½ an inch there. Draw my line in. Let's make sure I've got it fairly square. So that's ½ an inch there, ½ an inch there. And this is going to be the foot of our vase, and you'll see now what I mean. So I'm just going to draw an arc, a line, from there down to there. Okay, and now the trick is to get it the same on the other side. So I've turned my page around so I can use the same movement, hopefully. So from there, that place that we marked, down to there. Whoops. So that's that. So there we are, we've got the base of our vase put in, and the way that we're looking at it, it's just going to have, this would be the straight line across there, but it's just going to have a little bit of a dip down here. So just a little bit, it's just coming that far down. Same on the other side. So we're just off the straight line, which is here. Right, so now we can rub some of those lines out. We don't need this anymore, it's done its job. Just so we get a look at, see what we're doing. Because it tends not to look like a vase when you've still got, looks a bit like a hot air balloon, to be honest. So I'm just erasing that so you can see what's going on. Right, there we are. So this probably needs to be a bit more curved there. So I'm just going to just curve that and just curve that up to this line here, this mark here. There we are. So we've got at the bottom, the foot of our vase done. Now we need to do the top, and I'd quite like it to be about the same width as this. So I'm going to follow this line up, so that's there, this line here and this line here. And then we're going to do a similar thing. We're just going to curve in to the top of, well, to wherever we decide really. So if I bring that down like that, I think let's try it to there and see what happens, where that circle intersects there. So let's just bring that in and out there. Do the same on the other side. From there, bring it in and round to there. Don't think that's exactly perfect. Yeah, that's looking good. And same thing, just make sure that you haven't got a sort of sharp corner there really. That's fine. Lovely. Now let's just rub the top of this circle off so we can see what we're up to. Yeah, it's beginning to look quite vasey. Now the same thing, we want this to be the same as this curve at the bottom. So I'm just going to put a little mark there. I'm going to come from here down to that curve, line, and then curve it back up to the edge. So there we are. So let's rub out what we don't need and see if what we've got looks fairly symmetrical. And I mean, don't worry if it's not absolutely symmetrical. You know, we're humans. So right, there we are. Now then, the only other thing that I think that's just a bit bulbous. I'm going to come from this line here and just join that up to there. I think that might look a little bit better. Give it a more pleasing shape. Yeah, I think that looks better. So I'm just going to come up to here. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. A bit like equations when you're at school, do you remember? What you do to one side, you must do to the other. I think that's okay. I think so. Right, but this line here, I want to replicate, but going backwards, because you can just see the back of the... So I'm putting a mark, same distance away as that one, and I'm just going to draw it into there. And that's the back of the vase. There we go. Okay. So there we have it. Does that look symmetrical? Don't know if it's perfectly symmetrical. I'm pretty sure it's not perfectly, but it looks okay to me. If you're a bit unsure, give it a measure. That's 3/4 of an inch. That's 3/4 of an inch, so that's not too bad. That there is 3/8 and 3/8. Yeah, so I don't think we're doing too badly really. So we've used our grid, we've used our cup, mug, piece of timmy ephemera, whatever it is, and we've drawn around that, and then we've drawn the neck and the base in. So what we want to do now, and this may seem a bit counterintuitive, but we want to cut out this shape. Cut the shape out. Now you can use one of these, which I can't remember what they're called, or you can use scissors. It's difficult really to tell you which one is the best. I'm guessing that most of you have scissors, whereby some of you may not have a scalpel. So I'm going to use scissors to cut mine out. And I'm just going to start here. I don't need to preserve this shape. If you want to preserve your shape, then be a bit more careful than I am. So I'm just going to cut round here. And be careful to get your nice curves in and don't cut outside the lines. So it's a bit of precision cutting. So I guess most of you have worked out what I'm going to be doing. But for some of you it might be a pleasant surprise. So I'm doing my best to stick to the line that I've drawn. It would be much easier if it wasn't in the book. So if you're using loose leaf, you are the winner. Take your time. There's no point rushing this because you'll spoil it if you do. And you spoil all your work that you've done. There we go, last lap. Make sure that's just far enough. Right, so let's just have a look and make sure that there's no bits sticking out. I've got a bit here where I started. Just need smoothing off a bit. Just give it a check. Make sure that it looks okay. That looks okay. Right, so now what I'm going to do is lay it on top of the next piece of paper down. And we're going to colour it. The only line that I need to put in is the line that goes here, and I don't want to do it in pencil because I'm going to colour with it with distress inks. And the thing about pencil and distress inks, the distress ink picks up the pencil and it'll make it grubby. So I'm going to put it in. You can put it in with a biro, with a fine liner, with anything you like, and you can put it in with pencil first. Just rub it off before you start to. So I want it to come down to about there. So there and there. So that's our neck. And I'm just going to go over this with the fine liner. Like so. And I'm going to, fine liner just takes a second or two to dry. So I'm just going to waft that over there, and then I'm going to rub the pencil out that's underneath it, because that will spoil my ink colouring. and also perhaps some of this around here. I just don't want it being transferred onto the bit when we're colouring. Okay, let's make sure we've got all of that. So on the page underneath, that's it, that's all we've got. There we go. Right. Oh, maybe a bit around here as well, actually. Right, so you can choose whichever colours you want. Choose a lighter version and a darker version. And what I've chosen, it looks a bit odd, but I've chosen Victorian Velvet and Fired Brick. And you would think that these are not two happy bedfellows, but actually for what I want, they work really rather well. So, holding that down, it should hold itself pretty much, but if you're not sure that it will, just, I don't know what you can do actually, you can't tape it. Just hold it as you go, I guess. So, with the Victorian Velvet, which is my Victorian Velvet one, is that it? Might be. Let's give it a go. So I'm going to pick up a fair bit of ink, tap off the main part of it, and then I'm just going to start on the edge, and it's really quite light. There we go. Just a little hue. The camera's actually picking that up quite well, so I'm pleased. So I'm just going around the edge, but quite a way in. And I'm leaving this spot here in the middle with no ink on at all. So we're building up the ink. So I know that you can all do this. And we do it regularly, don't we, in things. So I want quite a lot at the bottom, because as we know, that's going to be in the shade. Everything on the bottom's always in the shade. And round here. And I think you can see already it's starting to look a little bit 3D. Which is what we want. So I want a bit more here, because that's the bit that's underneath the shade of the rim, is in the shade of the rim, I should say. So just keep going till you think you've got a nice colour that you're happy with. I'm going to keep going till I've got quite a dark colour so you can see what I'm up to. Right, I think that's probably okay. We can always come back to it. Definitely we can. So then I'm going to use a different sponge, and I'm going in with my Fired Brick. Now this is a strong colour, so be careful. Tap off quite a lot. Make sure you've got your stencil, your mask, should I say, in the right place, and then just come in from the edge a little bit. So most of it is being deposited on the mask. Or stencil, I guess it more properly is. Right, there we go, making progress. Down this other side. A little bit more ink. Mine's moved a touch, and then plenty down the bottom here. Right, so we can have a look and see what it looks like, see if we need any more. Oh, doesn't it look lovely? we drew that. I'm just going to exaggerate mine a little bit. You stop when you're happy, you know. But this is a good fun one. It's the weekend, so why not have some fun? So I'm just going to come in here, just across there a little bit where it would be dark, because the rim is casting that shadow, and down the edges. Right across the foot of it. And you know what, I think we're not far off there. I don't think we need to make it any more complicated than that. The only thing that we do need is to address this bit, the bit at the back, this bit here, because it will be really dark. If you ever look into a vase, you'll see that the bit there is dark. So I'm just going to use my finger dauber for this, because I want it really quite accurate, and I can't promise that I can do that with a brush. So that's quite dark there, a little bit, just a little bit more, really darken it up like that. Okay, let's have a look. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Aren't we clever? Right, so what I'm going to do now is wipe that ink up before I put my hand in it and ruin everything. I'm going to stamp on it, because you know, with vases, particularly the older type vases that belong to elderly people, or me, mind you, I might be an elderly person, I don't know, but but they tend to have flowers on them. Pretty much all my vases have got flowers on them. There's a surprise. I'm going to use archival ink. You use what colour you like. If you want a more sort of faded out look, then try a distress ink in a brown, you know, vintage photo or something. That'll give you a more faded out look. In fact, should we do that? No, let's not. Let's use this. And this is a Tim Holtz stamp. It's from the Flower Shop collection, which Julie bought me last Christmas. Thank you, Julie. Julie from Camellia Crafts Designs, of course. And that's what I'm going to use. Now, I don't want this bottom part of the stem, because my vase isn't that tall. So I'm just going over the whole stamp. This is archival ink in Black Soot. And let's place that on. I don't want to wreck it at this stage, do we? So be careful. About there, I'd say. And then, as Tim would say, stamp with purpose. Don't do CPR. Give it a minute just to transfer that lovely ink onto our vase. Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. These stamps look distressed when you print them, and that just look. I love that. It just looks aged with the vase. So what I want to do now is, well, I want to go around it with my fine liner. You, of course, don't need to do that. But what does need to happen is it needs to be grounded. So I'm going to take that line there, draw across, and draw across from that line there, which gives us immediately something for it to sit on. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of ground in there. Doesn't need to be much, just something. And then I'm going to go around mine. As you know, this is what I do. You don't need to at all. So I'm not saying that mine is symmetrical. Pretty sure it's not going to be symmetrical when we look at it, and I'm going to look at it and show you just how far out I was in a minute. Blimey, that line's a bit wonk. So there we are, there we have it. There is our vase, our day 5, isn't it? Day 5 vase. Nicely coloured in. Really pretty. So here's the vase that I cut out. So let's just fold it over on itself and see just how far off symmetrical I was. It's a bit difficult because it's been cut, but let's just have a look and see. Be interesting to know. Ooh. Ooh. Well, maybe not as bad as I thought actually. Yeah, it's not that bad. Huh. Excellent. So there we have it. That's that vase. I've done mine in, as you know, in pink. You could do yours. I'll tell you what would look nice. Speckled egg with salvage patina. That would be nice. Anything you like. But you can do it again and again because you've got this. You've got this. So you can lay that over another piece of paper. Just be careful that your ink doesn't come off. That's all I would say. But you could draw around it and then, you know, then ink it if you want to. Make yourself another one of these. So we've got that now. You could also, what we could do is make a smaller one and have it standing in front of there, so we've got like a composition. All sorts of things to do. But however, I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you give it a go because it's really nice. I really like it. Let's look back at the things that we've done, shall we? And pat ourselves on the back. I'm actually going to take my mask out of here. And I did do a practice one somewhere. I think we'll probably come across it. Day 1. Lovely. You might feel that you've got the confidence now to come back and colour that actually. And then we had a bit of an oopsie, didn't we? Had day 3 with the lovely toadstools. Day 2, which was the tulip. Day 4, which was the coloured ones, and you can see here where I've left pencil and it's made the ink go muddy, so that was my bad. Then this was my practice vase, and I'd stamped a stamp with vintage photo, which actually I really like. I think it looks nice. And then this was the one that we did today. So get cracking. Get your inks out, get your pencils out. Don't forget to make your grid first off, because you've got no chance of getting anything symmetrical, I don't think, unless you've got a fabulous eye, without a grid. A grid is sometimes an artist's best friend, really. So there you go, have a go. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to see what you put up in the group. Thanks for everybody who's putting their pictures up on the Ms Paint-A-Lot Junk Journal group. It's fabulous, like a blooming art gallery in there. Okay, see you soon. Bye.